did it?
Why'd you do it?
Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, Chris?
Because I couldn't see the wall when I walked into it.
There you go. There's some Breaking the Silence right here on the Classic Metal Show from the Operation Mindcrime release. That one going out by request to Sal in the chat room.
Cool.
And I see some comments in the chat room about talking to Brian. Some people said, man, that was a great call. Others said, man, Neeley and Chris could have tore that kid apart, but they showed a lot of restraint.
Restraint?
That's what it said.
I was going for subtle.
Yeah, well, you definitely did that.
I was going for subtle jokes, but I was definitely making my jokes.
You were, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, for a kid, Brian, 23, boy, he's got a lot of input on a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to these legacy bands.
Yeah, he does.
A lot of input, a lot of thoughts.
Oh, what else he got to do?
Well, I agree, but even regardless of his blindness or whatnot, he puts a lot of thought behind his music. Obviously, he likes his music.
I just like the fact that this kid is blind and he's still out there trying to find a career and find a job. Meanwhile, Moogle is sitting home in a fucking fox costume, jerking his dick.
That's funny. I wonder whatever happened to Moogle.
I'm sure his mom threw him out and he's homeless under a bridge.
Probably.
Sucking dick for money in a fucking pig's hat.
Hail and kill, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, guys. Just a few things. How you doing?
First of all, Tim, I don't want to hear you defend Nickelback one iota, so move on from that subject. What's next?
I'm not gonna defend Nickelback. I just wonder. I've been around guys with perfect pitch before, and it's an unbelievable gift. But my question is, how can anybody with perfect pitch think Paul Stanley's in the greatest shape vocally of his life?
Well, that is a question. That is a mystery, Tim. So we did question that. But yeah, how do you argue with somebody when it's just a subjective viewpoint, I guess?
And the other thing, just a couple of other things. I'll hang up in a sec. Do you guys know... I've been trying to do some research online. I'll just ask the question and hang up.
Well, hang on. Wait a minute. Tim. There's no issue with you calling. It's just when you don't get to the point, do we get a little unnerved with you? It's okay if you call and have a conversation with us. It's fine. Right. You don't have to just do a hit and run.
But I'm just...
Shush. You don't have to do a hit and run drive-by call and go, I'll ask my question, get off the phone. That's not the issue. The issue is when you drag it out. Now, we can have a conversation about anything you want to talk about. So what do you want to say? First subject, what do you want to talk about?
What I've been trying to do some research online, and Chris mentioned it, and I was going to call in and mention it. What's going on with Apple, Chris?
With Apple?
Apple with iTunes.
I thought he was asking about what's going on with Apple Crisp.
Oh, Apple Crisp, no. Apple they announced at whatever show that they're finally going to dump iTunes completely. But people are freaking out for no real reason, because what they're going to do is they're going to stop selling songs on iTunes. They're going to push all their eggs into the Apple Music basket, and I'm sure they're going to raise the rate as a result of them not selling the music anymore. So it'll probably end up being like $15 a hit for per month with Apple Music. And what they're going to do with the software is they're going to break it up and make you have 3 pieces of software. You're going to have Apple Music, you're going to have Apple TV, and you'll have Apple Podcasts. So where now you kind of can do all that shit in one product in iTunes, they're just going to break it up so that you use different programs for different things, which is good. In my opinion, is good, because there is nothing that loads slower in any of my computers than iTunes. iTunes is the slowest, most bloated bag of shit software ever to make $100 billion.
So does that mean you won't be able to download songs anymore?
Not from iTunes. Still do it from Amazon for a while, but that day is done, dude. Get used to it. They're getting rid of it. It's going away.
Okay. All right, and the other thing I wanted to say before I head off was that, and I know you guys were talking about it last week, that Circle album is the most incredible album I've heard all year.
Oh, my God.
And it's the most incredible album I've heard in a long time.
Wait a minute. You're talking about the Sammy Hagar record?
It's fantastic.
Stop it. Tim,
it's awesome, dude.
Sometimes I think that CP fucks with your ears. Dude, every single song, and I don't want to say every single, 8 of the 10 songs are cool songs that just sort of drift off like they just ran out of ideas. Damn near every song on the record does that.
But isn't that the whole point, to hit it and quit it?
I guess, but my God, Sammy's got more talent than that. That band is way too talented to half-write songs.
I don't know. I reckon.
And don't get me wrong, I'm seeing Sammy tomorrow, dude. I'm seeing it tomorrow, so I'm obviously a fan. Don't take it as I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I haven't heard an album this good in probably a year and a half.
Holy shit! Really?
And what was that album?
Every song. Probably
what was the album? What was the album a year and a half ago? Shadow Train?
No, probably Judas Priest Firepower.
Was that already a year and a half? Jesus.
Well, I don't know. It was a while ago, anyway. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
See how smooth that went, Tim? When you got your thoughts together and everything, it just goes real smooth. You don't have to, rush through and do a drive-by and,
Yeah, but I just try to be courteous of your guys' time.
Well,
anyway,
our time is fine, Tim. It's just when you waste our time that we have a problem with it.
Okay. See you guys. Hail and kill.
All right, Tim.
And off he goes.
Yeah. Surprised he didn't ask me about the revelation about union reforming.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's way up Tim's alley. His favorite album is the Karabi 94 album. Likes Kiss. That's in his wheelhouse.
You would think.
Well, don't call back to ask Tim. Just download the Cobras and Fire podcast. Listen to that. They'll tell you.
All right. You had sent me over this article here about a review of the Dio Hologram.
Yes. Not glowing. Dude, it's so funny. What is funny to me is the people that are associated with this thing that don't seem to get it, why people are annoyed with it, I guess.
Okay.
And the 2 guys I'm going to name are both friends of the show, so hopefully they're still friends of the show after I name them.
Okay.
But Ripper has been online just banging on people hard that have been saying anything negative about the Dio show.
I did see that, yes.
He's been, and of course he's in the band. He's in the Disciples, and he's one of the singers that sings when I don't know, when they're changing light bulbs or whatever they do to make the show go. And then the other one that's been out there lately has been Jizzy.
Yeah, I know. I saw his little tweet the other day popped up about must see.
Yeah, that it's a must see thing. But he's also been questioning, if people don't want to see it as well. Saying just accept it. It's a reality. This summer there's going to be a Jimi Hendrix, and next year there's going to be a this or that, and people, the band guys are all embracing it, and I'm just like, first of all, I don't understand why the band guy. I understand Ripper because he's getting paid for it, and I guess I understand Jizzy because he's on the tour. But in essence, this sounds to me like especially a guy like Jizzy, this is almost like taking his gig. Because in the future, why would you bring in another singer? You just fucking do a hologram. Right?
Well, I guess if say, let's just say that if the singer is still a viable singer and he gets replaced by a hologram, then I could see that being an issue. If you're doing a hologram of someone that is no longer living, that's a whole different story.
But I don't think it's going to be that way. I think, you know how Jizzy joined Rat?
Yes.
When Steven was obviously still living.
Right.
I think in the future, that's not going to be how it's going to be.
So they'll just, the guy is still a viable singer. They'll just replace him with a hologram.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that. Why would that not happen?
Well, I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'm just saying at the stage it's at currently.
Yeah.
They're talking holograms of people who are deceased.
Sure.
But I'm not saying that it couldn't expand out to having a hologram of somebody. Well, who would the hologram be of?
Steven.
Do you think that the viable singer would allow his image to be used like that?
Well, I think that he would be as a member of Rat, they could use anything that he did. Just like they get paid when they play his songs, they don't stop playing his songs on the radio when Jizzy takes over.
Well, true, but I want to go at the angle of if Rat, since you use that as an entity, was still around, and Steven was not in the band, would this be sanctioned by Steven to replace him with a hologram?
No. It would be sanctioned by the corporation. All right. So
how does somebody use your likeness in a hologram if you're still alive?
Because I have to think that with this influx of this, bands are going to make this part of their thing. That everything, and I do think that their likeness is still allowed to be used, even when they replace them. I mean, how many David Lee Roth things did we see come out of Van Halen when Sammy was the singer? You still saw pictures of David Lee Roth.
Yeah, but a lot of the time that was used by promoters who used something that they weren't supposed to be using, and a lot of them have to, they didn't get permission to use that likeness. They used it, but until somebody tells them you can't use it, they have to cease and desist.
You don't think that these new bands, though, are going to see this and capitalize on it? The original guys that formed the band aren't going to say, hey, anybody in this band, if you get replaced, you get replaced. We still own all the intellectual property.
Well, that's a little bit different. If you're an upstart band that doesn't already, that has to form a new corporation with those bylaws in it, that's a little bit different. These legacy bands, if they're still out there touring and the original guy, whoever it is, singer, whatever, is still alive and still viable as a singer, do you think that they're going to be able to just take him as a likeness and just use him as a hologram?
I do, and I'll tell you exactly why.
Well, how do they do that legally? How do you think they could do that legally?
I don't think the guys that are today, like the old, like the 80s bands, no. But I think new bands that are coming up, the answer is going to be yes.
Yeah, if they have that written into the bylaws that your likeness rights can be used even after your departure.
Yeah, and I think that's how it's going to be.
Okay, well, I get that. I get that part.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're going to fucking trot out a Brian Johnson hologram next time. I'm not saying that. He's been around too long. But I do think that as we move forward and this becomes a thing, there is definitely going to be a time when you are going to see live musicians replaced by fucking holograms of themselves. I totally think that's going to happen.
I think that's a ways down the road, though, because who is going to be an up-and-coming band that will actually matter?
Well, I mean, let's say that it's Rival Sons who are getting a lot of notoriety these days. If those kids were smart, or Greta Van Fleet's getting a lot of run these days, whether people like them or not.
Okay.
If I was that band, I would definitely I would make the band, all 4 guys or 5 guys, whatever there is in the band, sign a thing saying that Greta Van Fleet is an entity, and whether you're in the band or out of the band, Greta Van Fleet is an entity, and we're licensed to do whatever we want to with the entity that is Greta Van Fleet. And I honestly, the more I'm thinking about it, I think the old bands could probably do that as well. They can definitely use anything that was recorded. You know, they can release, and bands have been doing that for years, you know, releasing DVDs of, you know, Van Halen live in '78 or whatever.
but that's not an actual live performance though. That's just a video release.
Neither is a hologram.
But it is a live performance because
it's a projector.
No, I'm saying that the rest of the band is out there performing using one of the members as a hologram.
Okay, so you're saying that there's a percentage? What's the percentage? Half? 1/4?
Well, but here's my point. people who, you know, we're talking legacy bands here now. We're not talking new bands. I don't think let's just say Judas Priest. Mm-hmm. They're still out there touring.
Right.
And say Rob Halford decides he wants to leave the band again.
Okay.
And go do a solo thing.
Yeah.
Still a viable singer. He's still carrying on today.
Okay.
But I don't think Judas Priest can go out there and perform with the remaining members with a Rob Halford hologram without his, giving his blessing to do it.
I think they can. They would just have to pay him for the use of his image as his imagery from Judas Priest. He would make the royalty that he made from the recordings of Judas Priest. But
I think he would have to agree to accept that.
I don't think he would. It's like a company versus individual, guys. If you get if your company gets sued, that doesn't necessarily mean that you get sued.
True.
Because the company is an entity. It's an entity away from the individual.
Well, I get that. But when it comes to being a personality, mm-hmm. you have to have some kind of an agreement about how your likeness rights are being used.
When the company of Judas Priest, when Ripper was in the band of Judas Priest, when the company had airplay of "You've Got Another Thing Coming," Rob Halford got paid.
Correct.
When the company released a DVD with Rob Halford in the band, like an old DVD, live in '78 or whatever, Rob Halford got paid.
That's because that's a recording.
Well, so is this.
It's not, though. It's a
Rob Halford in Judas. This is a recording of Judas Priest's singer performing with the band. It's a recording.
Yeah, but it's also a public performance.
Okay, if they were to green screen out everything but Rob Halford and then put in the guys from Primal Fear on video as the backing band, would that be different? To release it as a DVD? It wouldn't be real.
No.
Rob Halford with Primal Fear now. Would that be the same?
It just depends on what the agreement for likeness rights is.
And my hunch tells me that the company is separate from individuals. I don't know that to be true, but I would strongly think that's the case. I don't know the answer. I mean, I don't think either of us
Well, you do know the answer because you've published books to where you couldn't use certain pictures as the cover.
True. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't a corporation.
Still doesn't matter. You still couldn't use it without being licensed to do it.
Because the corporation Judas Priest, the corporation of Judas Priest or Metallica or Motley Crue owned that. They owned that. But if, let's just say it was the Motley book, if John Corabi would have given me a photo of himself and said, here, you can use this, and it wasn't one that was taken with Motley Crue, then I could use it.
Absolutely, because he owned that likeness right to give you that permission to use it.
But if he gave me a picture of him with Motley Crue, I couldn't use it. Not because John, but because the company Motley Crue still owns it. The entity is Motley Crue, not John Corabi. And that's what I'm saying is the same. It's the guys that are recorded make one entity, not 5 entities.
Well, I get that. I get that, but the thing is that as a member of that corporation, you would have had to signed off on the use of your likeness rights even after you departed the band.
Maybe not. I mean, even today, John Corabi has told me personally, and I've heard him say it in interviews all the time, that he wishes that they would put out, reissue the Motley 94 record.
Okay.
Now, he's the singer on it, and he has zero say in that. Zero. Because he's been excommunicated from the entity that is Motley Crue.
But then again, you don't know what his agreement was when he joined Motley Crue. He may not have been a full member per se.
Right.
He may have been a hired gun.
He may have been. You know, it would really come down to it. There's a lot to it, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen at some point. It is going to happen to where, because it's not going to make sense. One, it's not going to make sense to bring in new guys and fuck with your fan base and all that other thing. That's the first part that isn't going to make sense for bands. And then the second thing, and I truly believe this is coming, it is not going to be that much longer before we get a totally fucking made up band.
Oh, I agree with that.
We're going to have just guys in a fucking computer lab inventing our music.
Yeah. Well, they'll be saying, come out and see the such and such experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, this is a little bit different, but in July,
yeah,
that Chicago tribute band from Russia.
Yeah, the Leonid band?
Yeah, they're playing at the casino down the street from you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My sister is going to go see that, and they're playing here like 30 minutes away.
Okay.
And I'm going to go see it when they're here.
Okay.
So they perform Chicago music, like dead on like the record, which is the reason I would go see them.
Right.
As a fan of the band of Chicago, I won't go see the entity that's touring as Chicago today, but I'll go see these other guys because they play the music dead on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But okay, so you've got the Chicago band that's out there now.
Currently, touring with 3 original members.
All right, forget the legal for a minute. Just go with me to this.
Yes.
Let's say that they took a Terry Kath hologram and a Peter Cetera hologram.
Yeah.
And popped them up on stage, and whoever else is missing, because I don't know who's missing. I don't know.
Walter Parazater, the saxophonist.
Okay, so
and Danny Serafin, the drummer, who is still alive.
Yeah, okay. But you get holograms of all of those guys. Okay? On the stage touring with Chicago, and it's all hologrammed. Would you go see that?
Out of curiosity, I would probably go see it once.
Okay.
I would just go, well, that's interesting.
Okay, but now I'm going to give you a choice. You can go to that, or you can go see what is calling itself Chicago today.
If I saw a precursor to it and they were actually playing the music, like Chicago that I know, growing up with the hologram, I'd go see the hologram.
See, there you go. And that's why I think this is going to become a thing, because people would rather see Stephen Pearcy, Juan Crucier, hologram Warren DeMartini, hologram Robin Crosby, and hologram Blotzer than want to see the whoever's in the band now. Krieger, Ziff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whoever the guys are now. I think there'd be more interest in that hologram, a rat hologram, than I do the current Rat.
Yeah, maybe. As long as they're playing the music true to form.
What about if they got rid of Mitch Malloy and brought the hologram Jack Russell back?
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
But see, here, in that case, that's kind of a different case.
Okay.
I've seen both, I've seen Great White, as the most popular lineup that made the Great White music.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen Jack Russell's current Great White band.
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference.
Oh, yeah, I know. But but when you see him, just think if you could get 1992 Jack Russell.
Okay.
Versus Captain Bligh Jack Russell.
The all crippled up, hunched over Jack Russell.
Yeah, and looking like a pirate.
Yeah.
I mean, which would you rather see?
I want to see the vintage.
Yeah.
Version, of course.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the hologram is quickly gonna be more valuable than the it's gonna be more valuable, and it's gonna cost less to do.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
You're literally gonna go from having to, tens of thousands of dollars to ship shit around and fly people in and all this other bullshit to, whatever it takes to load a suitcase full of a projector.
True.
You probably get that for $35 on fucking Frontier's airline or whatever.
Right, of course.
Whatever airline. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna happen.
Well, it definitely is an interesting discussion.
Sure. I mean, the closer it comes to happening for real, the further away I get from seeing shows, because I'm not going to see it. I'll be honest. I know a lot of people keep saying, well, I want to see it once. I don't. I have DVDs. I know what it looks like. And that's just how I feel. I feel like it's an overpriced DVD.
Well, I agree, but curiosity definitely would get the best of me in that regard.
Well, is Dio coming to? Is the Dio?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at this at all. I have no idea where it's touring and where it's performing or anything.
Because if nothing else, you'd get to see Jizzy.
That is true.
When's the last time you saw Jizzy perform?
Without
a band that was not one that he joined.
Oh, let me see. I saw him with Quiet Riot was the last time I saw him.
Have you ever seen him just doing Love Hate?
No.
Yeah, so
got to be honest with you, no, because last time I saw Jizzy was at that Farm Rock Fest about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That might be your only chance to ever see Love Hate Jizzy Pearl.
That is true.
That could be fun.
Well, I'll check into it. I'll see if and where they're playing, if and when it's feasible to go. But getting to this review,
okay.
I wanted to believe the dragons, the rainbows, the demons, all of it.
Right.
I wanted to believe that the ghost of heavy metal icon Ronnie James Dio, or rather his hologram, could appear on stage and sweep me away with a furious blaze of fire and rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
Then the hologram of apparatus on stage. Apparated? Apparition? I guess it's aberration or aberrated. That's a weird...
Apparition?
Something like that. On stage, Harry Potter style, in a swirl of sparks at the Barbara B. Mann Performing Arts Hall, and my first thought was, oh, so that's what this is going to be. It's not that the hologram was completely bad. Dio did look kind of cool in his black leather pants and white cross shirt as he struck dynamic poses through his famous devil horns, hand gestures, bounced to the beat of sort of, and thrust out his microphone for audience to sing along.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Hologram Dio never really felt real. His mouth didn't really quite sync to the Dio recorded awe-inspiring vocals lifted from the various live Dio concerts. His movements looked too herky-jerky, manic, and non-stop to feel lifelike, and the whole thing lacked that hard-to-nail-down but immediately recognizable spark of life.
Shocking.
It didn't help that the hologram was set all the way to the back of the stage behind the band, making the always short Dio appear even shorter and almost elf-like. Hey, he did play in the band called Elf.
Wow. But
yeah. The real Dio would perform front and center, a place of honor befitting a metal legend who popularized the devil horns gesture and was considered to be a father figure in the metal community, along with fellow Black Sabbath frontman Ozzy Osbourne. But here on stage in Fort Myers, Dio felt like a minor part in his own show.
Jesus.
That's unfortunate considering how downright awesome the rest of the concert was. A lot of the time and energy obviously went into producing Dio Returns, the new national tour that opened Friday in Fort Myers. Dio's former band, now rechristened the Dio Disciples, brought the heavy metal thunder of classic Dio songs like Holy Diver, Rainbow in the Dark, Mob Rules, King of Rock and Roll, Stargazer, and Stand Up and Shout. And metal singers Tim Ripper Owens and Oni Logan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where Oni went. That's why he quit Lynch Mob?
Yeah, he quit Lynch Mob to be in the Dio Disciples.
Okay, I didn't know if he and George had a falling out or he was just tired of doing it, but I didn't realize he got this gig.
Yeah, he's in that band now.
Okay. Oni Logan of Judas Priest and Lynch Mob, respectively, did Dio right with roof-shaking, shiver-inducing howls and screams. Then there was the show's intricate, mind-blowing video imagery on the screen surrounded the hologram stage like a picture frame. It's the same Dungeons and Dragons imagery that populated Dio's lyrics and stage show. Dragons perched on castles, fire, jangling chains, cemetery gates, ghostly eyes, meteor showers, demons, smoking angels, and yes, rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
In a word, jaw-dropping. Honestly, the video, including some of the live concert footage of Dio and his band, outshined the hologram itself, as did the live musician performances. The show would have been much better had a straight-up tribute concert minus the hologram. Okay,
right.
so it appears, and I'm seeing the imagery or the footage of this.
Mm-hmm.
The hologram does look tiny.
It's too small.
Yeah, it is, and I get that, and maybe this is just something that, though, obviously as technology advances, it'll probably get better, obviously. But looking at these photos and this imagery from the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks like he's just like a shrunken version.
Yeah.
Just way off in the distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks odd. It doesn't look like it. I watched a couple of videos of it, and it looks so odd that it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me at all.
It looks like a Dio in a box.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, Dio, get yours today, Dio in a box. In a word, jaw-dropping. Honestly, the video, including some of the live concert footage of the Dio and his band, outshined the hologram itself. I'm a longtime metal fan and therefore by default a longtime Dio fan, and never got to see him perform live before his death in 2010, so I hope to get swept away. See, this is the point I made in Band versus Brand. So I hope to get swept away in the music and the performance and forget that this was a hologram and not the real thing.
Yeah.
But only once in the 100-minute show did I stop thinking, this is a hologram, and simply lose myself in hologram Dio performance.
Right.
That was during Black Sabbath's lumbering, doom-filled, absolutely pulverizing Heaven and Hell, where for one brief, head-banging moment, everything seemed to be in perfect sync, and I simply believed. So maybe once they got everything synced up correctly, it was a little more acceptable.
Maybe. The thing I don't understand, and I'm not even going to pretend that I understand this technology, but I don't understand why they instead of having this little screen, why don't they use a giant screen that's like the whole back?
Well, maybe it gets too distorted or something.
But they could set the background as to make it look like a stage, and then they could manage the depth perception a little better. Them on a little tiny square, they can't really have them walk forward or walk backwards or whatever. But if the whole backdrop was the screen and the quote unquote stage setup, they could just make him get bigger as he quote unquote walks forward to where he's 5'4" when he comes to the front or whatever.
Well, I think that the density of the video image obviously is going to be an issue, because if you try to blow it up too big, they can't quite get the and again, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just throwing out some words here, that the pixels aren't as dense to make it look real.
Right.
But when it's on a smaller level, it probably has a very realistic look, but in a very, very limited range. And I think that's what is really going on here.
Right.
But maybe as technology advances, they'll be able to make it bigger and make the range of movement from one side of the stage to be a little more broad.
Yeah, it's going to get better. That much we do know. The fact that they're doing it, this is not as good as it's going to be. This is as bad as it's going to be.
Yeah, this is Wendy capitalizing on this as early as possible.
Yeah, so that nobody else does it before she does it.
True.
That's what's selling tickets for it, is that she's the first.
Yeah.
Not the first hologram, but the first touring hologram. Once this becomes a thing, and that's a whole thing too. Once it becomes a thing, what's the value going to be for this? Are people really going to be willing to spend like concert prices, even if it is a live band with a fake fucking singer?
Well, I think that the initial capitalization is where the real money's going to be. But after, as you said, it gets become commonplace, it's not going to be such an interest anymore.
No.
Yeah, I've been there, saw it, done that.
I think I wouldn't mind seeing a Van Halen with a fucking hologram DLR, though. I'd see that over the real band now.
Right.
That's I'm sure.
The rest of the time, the hologram, despite its cool stage moves and those fiery, instantly recognizable vocals, never really convinced me. I came prepared to suspend my disbelief, but the hologram needed to do more work to get me there. I don't know. Maybe all hologram concerts are like this. This was my first hologram show and only the second to visit Fort Myers. The Roy Orbison hologram came to Mann Hall in November. Oh, got a Roy Orbison hologram.
Jesus. Are there people that are old enough? The people that probably went to that are all, like senile or something.
Yeah,
Didn't realize
I wasn't aware that they were touring around with a Roy Orbison hologram.
What a strange one to pick to fucking spend the money to hologram up.
Yeah, interesting.
Roy Orbison.
Yeah. One factor may have been my close proximity to the stage. From the seat in row C, the hologram looked flat and completely unrealistic, more like a video than a three-dimensional projection. Luckily, the venue wasn't even halfway sold out. Not so lucky for the show creators. I guess that meant I could easily move back to row K. From there, the hologram looked significantly more lifelike and took more of a weight and substance on stage, so that's where I sat for the rest of the show. So up close, it looks like a movie screen, probably.
Yeah.
From the back, it probably has more of a 3D effect.
All right, well, how much would you pay to go to a movie theater to see a band?
Boy, $20?
Yeah, no matter who the band is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an uncomfortable time. And boy, how bad does that suck that if you're one of the few that gets the good seats, they're not even the good seats anymore.
Yeah, it's not so good to be up close.
Yeah, those are the shit seats.
Thankfully, the hologram was absent much of the show, with the long stretches of just Ripper, Logan, and the rest of the Dio disciples astounding the audience with doomy Black Sabbath riffs, mammoth drumming, and ferocious singing. Props to former Dio band members Simon Wright, Craig Goldie, and Scott Warren. They also, they know this material better than just about anyone, and they proved that on Friday. Maybe the expectations were too high. By the show's finale, many audience members had jumped their way to their feet and started cheering and clapping and throwing fists and devil horns into the air. And a co-worker and a fellow metalhead told me afterward that they loved the hologram and found it absolutely convincing.
Well,
they must have been talking to Tim James and Brian McCauley. He was on perfect pitch. He looked real.
It looked perfect to Brian.
Exactly. So who knows? Maybe I'm just being too tough on poor hologram Dio. To be fair, despite the show's glaring flaws, it was still cool to see Dio return to life and throw the horns one last time. Well, this won't be the last time, my friend. Maybe for you, maybe you won't go again.
Yeah, it'll be for all time.
Yeah,
because from now on, if you've got a thumb drive, you potentially could have that concert in your backyard.
That is true,
and that's another thing that is going to happen at some point with this commercialization. They'll go out and do a tour, and then they'll release it on a drive that you could fucking put on a projection screen in your yard or something.
Yeah.
Guarantee that's coming.
Although, honestly, the show mostly just made me want to go to YouTube and watch the concert videos of the real Dio, which I did as soon as I got home. I miss Ronnie. Most metalheads miss Ronnie, so it was fun to come together and celebrate a man who loved his fans and helped define heavy metal with his soaring vocals, swords and sorcery images, and eternal devil horns. Still seen at metal concerts everywhere. He's worthy of celebration. But the ticket cost $31 to $81. The hologram show just wasn't worth it. Instead, I'd be gladly pay that much to see Ripper, Logan, and the disciples rip into Dio catalog all by themselves. Just leave the hologram on the tour bus.
Thank you. That's what I think, too. Dude, how soon, and I know this is coming. If I know anything is coming, I know this is coming. How long do you think it'll be before there's a karaoke machine that you can buy for your house where you're doing karaoke and whatever song you pick, that singer or that guitar player or whatever comes up? So you could sing Running with the Devil with Eddie Van Halen hologram playing guitar.
Well, I mean, again, this is all about making money.
Yeah.
So that would be a money-making commercial product.
Sure.
But that's what it's all about. It's really not about the integrity of the performance. It's about selling some kind of a product to enrich the entities that are producing this thing.
Sure. Now, I'll be honest, if a club had the karaoke with the hologram, I would go. I'd go.
Yeah, so it would be in reverse. They would have the hologram of the band, and you would be the live singer. But right now, it's a live band with a hologram singer.
Sure.
So you get up in between, the holograms of the musicians.
Yeah.
And they're up there. You got an Eddie Van Halen noodling on guitar while you're singing "Running with the Devil."
Yeah. Then Led Zeppelin pops up while you're singing "Stairway."
Exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah, there you go.
I would do that.
Yeah, it's hologram in reverse. It's hologram show in reverse.
I would do that before I'd go and see the hologram tour.
Well, why not?
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's for the people who come out to see you do this. And of course, people always with their iPhones up there recording it. So it's just like, yeah, here's me up on stage with Van Halen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Take a picture. You can sing 2 songs in a picture for $15 at the karaoke bar.
Right.
Yeah, people would do that all day long. You'd make a fucking killing.
Sure.
You'd make $3,000 a night. Now we're talking about something that can make some money.
There you go. All right. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us is going to be hologram bound anytime soon.
Nah, I see the pictures and stuff, and I kind of get what this guy is saying.
Yeah.
And it does. It looks like a little Dio off in the background.
Mm-hmm. It looks cheap. That's my vision. That's what I see.
Well, compare you compared to the band, it looks like a little Dio in a box.
Yeah, it does.
And actually, as holograms go, where I saw my first hologram, which I was just like, really, I was blown away by it just because I'd never seen one before.
Where?
In Las Vegas, back in the 80s.
Okay.
When they used to have what they called a people mover, to get into Caesar's Palace.
Okay.
And they would run you through this little entryway where it was like, Rome, old Rome, and there was Caesar and stuff. Yeah. And they had behind the glass, they had these holograms.
Okay.
Performing a scene.
Okay.
That you could watch as you went by the glass.
Okay.
And it was just like, holy shit, how did they do that?
Right.
And that was pretty amazing. And that was 30 years ago.
Yeah. And the technology hasn't upgraded very much since then.
Not really, but those holograms were pretty goddamn pretty good.
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah. Now you look at the Dio one and he's 2'8".
That is true.
Same size as the animals and shit that you saw in your hologram.
Yeah. So here's the set list real quick.
All right.
King of Rock and Roll, Mob Rules, Children of the Sea, The Last in Line, Holy Diver, Stand Up and Shout, Don't Talk to Strangers, Egypt, The Chains Are On, Gates of Babylon, Invisible, Stargazer, Heaven and Hell, Man in the Silver Mountain, Rainbow in the Dark, We Rock, and Neon Nights.
It's a good set.
Yeah, it's a good set. It's definitely a representation of his career from being a solo artist to being in Black Sabbath and being in Rainbow.
No.
Being in Rainbow.
Did you say Last in Line?
No. Let's see.
They didn't say Last in Line?
Wait a minute. Last in Line, Holy Diver.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, damn.
Yep.
I was going to say, my God, they better fucking straighten up that hologram.
So, from a fan standpoint of view, we're being lucky where this show is concerned. I will never forget my opportunity that I had to chat with Dio one-on-one in person.
Sure.
So...
The first big interview I ever did was Ronnie James Dio. That was the first big name well, technically the second, but I don't count the first was New Edition. But of bands that I care about, the first big name guy, the first metal guy I ever interviewed was Ronnie James Dio. And I've told that story before.
Yeah, about him reading your review.
reading my review back and me thinking he was going to hang up on me because I just crucified Angry Machines.
Yeah.
But he was cool about it.
Well, that was not a very good record.
Oh, no. And it was an even worse review. But it was definitely awkward with him reading me back my own words. Saying that I basically saying that Ronnie James Dio had died. It was like a eulogy. I was like, oh, shit. First big interview ever. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to fucking hang up. He's going to fucking hang up.
Right.
And then he just was like, well, let me just tell you what I was going for with this. Maybe you didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, sure. And it didn't make me like the record any better, but it definitely made me love Dio to death. And I'll just say it, and I've said it before, and I think you've experienced it too. If that guy met you once, he always knew your name.
Yeah.
I ran into him 10 years later, and he was like, Chris, how are you? I was like, Jesus, this guy must meet 1 million fucking people a year. And he still knew my name. Yeah. Knew where I worked and everything else. Was like, this guy was amazing.
Yeah, when I did interview him prior to a show that he did at the Odeon.
Okay.
And when I met him at the Odeon after the show, and I walked up to him and I said, hey, I'm Neeley from the Classic Metal Show. Oh, yeah, that was a good interview we did, a week ago or whatever it was, You remember?
I like the question you asked, and he reads you back your question just off the cuff. It's like, Jesus.
Exactly.
The guy had a crazy memory. I was talking to Bill Peters about this one night, and Bill said the same thing. Bill worked with him a lot when he was with WIA, and he said the same thing. He said Dio always remembered everybody's name. Like, he would come into town and do something at the office or whatever, and he would know everybody's name in the office. Just ridiculous. He had that kind of memory. See, he was awesome. I have not a bad word to say about Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone have a bad word for Ronnie James Dio.
Other than Vivian Campbell.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different. Who
cares?
Little business issue.
Yeah, but as far as people that ever met him, he was always fucking great. Always great.
Well, I agree with that.
Yep.
All right, well, I think that we should play some Dio.
Okay.
Do you have something you'd like to hear?
How about if we go with go with We Rock, just because I like that song.
Just because you like that song?
No real reason. I just like that song. It's fast.
Because we rock.
Because we rock.
Yeah, the thing is you and I went to see him with Heaven and Hell.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that Heaven and Hell tour 3 times.
I saw it at least twice, because I saw it with you, and I saw it
at Cleveland. You saw Tim was over there.
Yeah,
it was you told the story how the guy kept standing up on the seats.
Yeah. No, so I saw it at least twice. No, I saw it 3 times, because didn't I see it once with you too?
You did. You saw it on the Master Metal tour.
No, I think I saw it twice with you. Didn't we see it at the Tower City with like Megadeth, and I was throwing pennies at the guy?
I think I saw. Yeah, actually, we did.
Yeah, and the guy kept standing on the seat, and I kept throwing.
Well,
pennies
no, I wasn't at that show.
Somebody was with me, and I was throwing pennies, hitting the guy in the head.
Yeah. Well, you came back on the CMS and told about the dick that was kept standing up.
Yeah, and facing the crowd like he was the performer.
Yeah, like he was like directing everybody to sing along and shit.
And it's like, get off the chairs, you dickhead.
Yeah, we're not here to see you.
I hate that guy at every concert. I fucking hate that guy. And there seems like anytime there's chairs, there's always one of those assholes.
Yeah.
That climbs up on the chairs is like, give it to me.
Yeah, you guys get into it, man.
Like, fuck you, sit down. But so I saw it 3 times as well, because I saw it that time. I thought I was with you on that, though.
No, I wasn't there.
And then maybe it was Randy.
Yeah, I think it was.
And then I saw it with you in Chicago. And then I saw Dio's final appearance ever in Cleveland with Heaven and Hell and Coheed and Cambria.
That's right.
Yep. So yeah, I did see it 3 times as well. It was a great tour. Yeah. Great touring.
Good times, man. Good times.
And we'll never get it again unless we go to the Hologram show.
Right. All right. Well, here's Dio with some We Rock.
All right.
Exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
Hi, I'm Ronnie James Dio, and you're listening to the Classic Metal Show with Neeley